Fellow Toastmasters, guests, thank you for having me. I was introduced to Toastmasters at our local Rotary Club, where Brian and Laura Lee came to represent to our club about what Toastmasters was all about. And I knew it was exactly what I needed at the time, and I was inspired to join right away. And I was also very impressed with Laura Lee that I wanted to recruit her to come work for me in my business. And so today you are going to learn about why I joined Toastmasters and also why my nickname is Fit Money Doctor. So when I was 18, I met my future husband, Christopher, in Portland. And 6 short months later, I moved from the greater Seattle area to a very small town on the Oregon coast. I remember driving into the town, looking at the population sign, 2,000 in Waldport, Oregon, going, oh my goodness. Well, 6 months later, we were married. I was 19 at the time. And at that time, I thought I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, have babies, and follow in my mom's footsteps. Well, it turns out that was not my destiny. After trying to have children and just not having success right away, I decided to start working at a local bank here in town and found out I loved personal finance, I loved investments, and there was a financial advisor at the bank, and I became an assistant to the financial advisor. And I just loved it. And 4 years, I worked for the bank for 4 years, and they helped me get licensed. They started training me, and I'm very thankful to that. But at the age of 23, I was ready to be a financial advisor. I wanted to help people with their finances. And I went to the bank and I asked, and they said, well, we can only have one financial advisor on the coast. And until she retires or quits, bad luck. So at 23, I hit the glass ceiling. Yes. So what am I going to do? I decided to, at that point, start my own business. And that today is Financial Freedom Wealth Management Group. And we have offices all over Oregon. We have 6 offices and also Southwest Washington. And the headquarters is still right here in Newport. And we have a staff of 12. And we're also recognized on a national scale. In 2014, I was chosen as, they call it the top 40 under 40. So top 40 financial advisors under the age of 40, which I can no longer qualify. But this last year, it was fun. By Working Mother magazine, I was a top wealth advisor mom, which that was kind of fun. So I think in my industry, where the average age is 58 and 88% white male, when a 6-foot blonde, starts showing up on the leaders' bulletins, people take notice. So that's been kind of fun. So when it came time to start a family and get serious about it, I really, at that point, my business was going well. I didn't want to choose between my career and having children. And so I was determined to have it all. And don't get me wrong, there have been sacrifices along the way on both sides, but that has been very intentional and thought through. I have a very supportive family and team around me, and that is what makes it possible to thrive in both. Chris, my husband, and I have 3 beautiful children, ages 15, 10, and 8. And they are very active in sports, also in 4-H. We have horses, or one horse, not plural. And let's see, and also the local theater. So my middle daughter is making her debut this Friday night at the Beauty and the Beast play at the local PAC. So it's on for 3 weekends, so get your tickets. So when my 3rd child was born, my health at that point had kind of taken a backseat. I had some baby weight I needed to lose. I wanted to get my energy back. And so what did I do? I decided to set a big audacious goal and compete in a bodybuilding competition. And so I hired a coach. It took me about a year of prep, and I entered my first competition, and I was hooked. And so for the next 4 years, I competed, and one of those competitions was to Columbus, Ohio. So anybody hear of Arnold Schwarzenegger? Yes. So I competed, here I am, in the Arnold Amateur Bodybuilding Competition. So you can see I'm not big, and so this division is called figure. So they look at symmetry, not necessarily size of muscles. So that was kind of fun. So, but what I discovered, as much as it was a external transformation, right, to get my body in shape, it was more of an internal transformation that I went through during that time. Because the discipline, the desire, the determination you had to have to not only work out consistently, but also eat right consistently. It was very an internal transformation that I just left. And what I discovered is the skills and the disciplines and the strategies I learned to get my body in shape were the same strategies that one could use to get their finances in shape. And so last year, I decided to write a book about that. And I wrote Fit Money, 7 Steps to Get Your Financial Life in Shape. So why did I join Toastmasters? To learn to tell my story. I am passionate about helping others with their finances, and I want to inspire the masses. And to do that, you must become a great public speaker. I totally forgot my And then here's me at 19. Aww. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction speech. I see that we're back online, but I see no signal again.
Yes, that's because I took it off so I can do this.
Okay.
You're fine.
What I'm going to do now is I'm looking at the camera. Rosalind is our Toastmaster for the day. Just to kind of let Rosalind know where we are, we went ahead and had Julia give her icebreaker, and we have Lyle who was doing the evaluation. Now, Ruth, I think you already
She's timer.
Ruth is the timer, and I want to make sure people know that as Ruth is our timer, that she's holding up a green, yellow, and red piece of paper so that way we know what our timing is, because we don't have a timer down here today. So make sure you're watching the screen so that you know how we're doing for time.
Yeah, and I made her big.
All right. Ruth, can you give us a time for that speech?
It was right at 7 minutes.
Oops. About to unmute again. And try that
It was
again.
right at 7 minutes.
Try again?
One more time.
It was right at 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Wow.
Thank you very much. All right. So with that, I'm going to give the podium and the Toastmaster position over to Rosalind, who is our Toastmaster of the day. She joined our club in October of this year, and she is a distinguished Toastmaster. I believe she belongs to a bazillion clubs. Let us help me welcome Rosalind as our Toastmaster for the day.
Okay, I just wanted to, since you're already done with the speech, I wanted to call upon Michelle as the grammarian to let us know what to be looking for as the grammarian today. So everybody knows what the role of a grammarian is.
Thank you, Roslyn. So first of all, the word of the day is resolve or resolution or variations thereof. So I think we all know the use or the meaning of resolution, as in New Year's resolution, but it actually means a firm commitment or firm decision to take action. That is really what a resolution resolution is. And so when you say you are resolved, then you have this firm commitment to do something. Try to use resolve, resolution, or variations thereof throughout the meeting. And of course, I will be looking for excellent use of the English language, as well as areas where we probably need to improve on our use of English. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And Ruth, I know you talked about the timer. If you would like to tell us why we time things in Toastmasters and what the role of a timer is.
Absolutely, Madam Toastmaster. We time things in Toastmasters because we learn to become concise in our speaking, concise, precise, and we only have a certain amount of time when we speak in public situations. We want to be mindful of the people we're speaking to and with, and that's what the timer does. It's not to ding anyone, it's to make us aware of our times.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Appreciate that. And Avital, as a general evaluator, can you tell us what you would be doing?
So we have evaluators to evaluate individual speeches. And then I like to think of the general evaluator as somebody who's kind of like standing over a maze, maybe in a helicopter, and they're looking down at the whole thing and how the whole thing runs so that we can run these meetings as swiftly, effectively, efficiently as possible.
I'm glad we resolved all the technology issues and we are able to continue on with our meeting. Our second speaker for today is going to be Diane, who's going to be doing project number 7 from the Competent Communicator Manual. Research your topic. As a second career, Diane entered into the PhD program at Washington State University, where she attended for 4 years and earned a PhD in business administration. Following her graduation in 2014, she served as a visiting assistant professor in the accounting department, teaching introduction to taxation and managerial accounting. She now lives in Newport, Oregon, and teaches international management and human resource management as an online adjunct professor. Her evaluator today is Brian Haggerty. Brian, would you like to tell us what the objectives of the speech are?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The objection, excuse me. The objective of the speech is to research a topic, to pick a topic that is suitable for the audience and research it effectively, and then communicate your research to the audience.
Thank you.
Brian, what is her time?
What's your time?
The time.
Diane is asking for 6 to 8. She's asking for 6 to 8 minutes. But the title of her speech is PhD for Dummies. Please help me welcome Diane to deliver the.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. A PhD, Doctorate of Philosophy, is defined as a doctorate in any discipline except perhaps medicine or theology. A PhD is considered a terminal degree or the highest degree offered by a graduate school or other approved educational organization. And according to reference.com, 1.7% of Americans have achieved a PhD over the age of 25. In other words, I can't go higher, unless, of course, I go for a postdoc. Why would a 50-year-old something individual do something like this? Because it's out there. The first step towards attaining a PhD is to take the admissions test. And for business students, it's a graduate management admissions test. And again, before I explored and took the GMAT, it's called, I researched online doctorates at such universities as Capella, DeVry, University of Phoenix, but I wanted to go higher. According to the Carnegie Classification of Institute of Higher Education, there are 115 R1 or Research 1 institutions, 107 R2 or higher research activity institutions, and 112 institutions that are moderate research. Like I said, the entrance exam comes first. And according to Forbes.com and MBA.com, the MBA is a challenging test designed to measure preparation for graduate business school programs. The first go round, I went to the top of Research 1 institutions. And in order to enter those institutions, or apply to, in order to enter those institutions, you have to have at least a 700 score on the GMAT. And my criteria for applying to these 4 universities were places that my husband Keith and I wanted to live. So I applied to the University of Colorado. I applied to Florida State University. I applied to Arizona State University and the University of Washington. Well, my GMAT was 590. And I should have known that. And so I decided, okay, I tried, I'm done. Well, I got an email from the University of Southern California that listed all of the Research 1 institutions, and some that had different criteria other than a 700 GMAT. So I applied to one place, Washington State University. And this was a year later in the fall of 2009. 4 of us got into that institution, and I wasn't the bottom of the list, but I was 3rd. What happened was the person who was 4th, he quit after the first semester. In June of 2010, my husband and I drove to Washington State University and stayed on the campus. And actually, we stayed in the dormitories just to explore the school. It was a great, fun experience to start out with. In August of 2010, we came to the campus and I started my PhD program. And we had the full college experience. We stayed in graduate housing in Yakima Village, et cetera, et cetera. The first 2 years of a PhD, you take classes. And I want to tell you, when you go to a Research 1 institution, you do not pay to get your PhD. They pay you. It's not very much money. It's a small stipend, and they expect you to work as a teaching or research assistant. I took the comprehensive examinations, and I got a conditional pass, which meant that I had to write a paper in order to pass fully. I love teaching. My discipline in business administration is management, and there are 3 paths to that: human resource management, international management, and strategy. I taught all of them. You have to get a committee to help you manage you when you write your dissertation. And I had 2 co-chairs, and I had some very good advice from a fellow PhD. There are 2 things. The only good dissertation is a done dissertation, and you can pay someone to help you with your statistics. I proposed my dissertation in November of 2013, and when my husband and I went to Seattle University to kind of check out the school, and that's where I got my first undergrad, I defended my dissertation. And I want to tell you one thing, I don't know about other schools, but at Washington State, they don't allow you to defend your dissertation unless they're going to pass you. So I defended on the last possible date that I could to graduate at the end of 4 years. And according to reference.com, the average time to earn a PhD is just over 8 years. But with this gray hair, I didn't have much time. I passed and became an official PhD on April 18th, 2014. I worked 1 year as a visiting assistant professor at Washington State University and decided that didn't work out so well. So I moved to Newport, Oregon and started my online gig. I teach human resource management and also international management. And what does the future hold for me? Well, I'm looking at and talking to Washington State University about being an online clinical professor. And someday I might just go for that postdoc. Thank you very much.
Very much, Diane. Job. No, I'm not sure. And in the room there, if all of you do some written evaluations or write on a piece of note what you thought of Diane's speech, so she can take her speech to the next level the next time around. As Toastmasters, we always try to resolve issues, try to stay on top of things. We try, if suppose we have somebody that doesn't show up to a meeting, we immediately have somebody else pick up the role and take it from there. And so today, Julia was supposed to be the table topics master, but unfortunately she was too tired and she can't hear. So Michelle is going to fill in for her. And thank you, Michelle. Can you please lead us in table topics?
Absolutely. And actually, I am delighted because then, since I am grammarian, I have the opportunity to ask table topics questions, which will give everybody the chance to use the word of the day. Again, to repeat, the word of the day is resolve. And our Toastmaster has already used it, either resolve or resolution. So the first table topics question is, drum roll, we probably all know this question. What, or share with us one of your resolutions for the year 2018 and why that is your resolution? Who would like to answer that table topics question? Share with us one of your 2018 resolutions and tell us why that is a resolution for you. I don't see any of the hands in the room.
There we go.
Did somebody's?
Right here.
Right here.
Okay.
My name is Linda.
Okay, there you are. And I think that is Linda, yes.
Resolving and inspiring this year to be more into every moment, to be present in how I feel and what's going on around me in my immediate area, and to be kind to myself and others, and to share this energy and resolution with everyone around me, to ask and inspire them to be patient and quiet with themselves.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And when I get back to Oregon, Linda, you will get this special bookmark that says presence. And it actually on the back has something about what you said about being patient, being present for people. Awesome. Great minds thinking alike.
Thank you.
Let us move on to the next. I think we have time for maybe two more. The next table topics question. Tell us about a resolution, whether it was New Year or any other time of the year. Tell us about a resolution that you made and still have to fulfill. And it cannot be from this year. It has to be a resolution from long ago or last year. You still need to fulfill it.
Tom,
Who would like to
Tom.
answer that question? Okay, Tom. Take it away, Tom. Tom? Is Tom online?
He's online.
But I think he said he had to leave. Or is, are you, Tom, are you? Okay.
Audio issues.
We
Tom
can't
is
hear
still
you.
muted. He's muted.
We can't hear you.
No, he's not muted.
You muted yourself now.
Yeah.
There you are. Good, good, good. Take it away.
Okay. A resolution that I was working on, but I'm yet done. Okay. So I have resolved to try to do a better job of saving for retirement. And with those career changes, they got me off my path. So one of the things I resolved to do is, now that I have a new job is to contribute 6% to my 401k at my new job, and then as soon as I get a performance appraisal and a raise, I'd like to increase 6% to 8%. And my resolution is that every year as I get an additional raise, try to increase that another 2% so that I can not eat cat food in my retirement years. That on tabletop master.
That is awesome. That should be a resolution for all of us. And indeed, you'll be amazed at how quickly a 401k can build up. At one point in my life, I resolved I was going to just be frugal and throw 20% into 401k, and I couldn't believe how quickly it just built up. So great resolution, Tom. Great resolution. I think we have time for just one last one. Tell us about a resolution that you made with good intention, but then you realized that it actually was not a good resolution, or was not positive, or was something that you didn't really want to do after all. Would anyone like to share that? We're in true confessions now, or you can always fake it, as they say. Who would like to answer that? Maybe somebody from online. Susan, would you like to answer that? Susan from Montana, can you unmute yourself?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, for that very intriguing question. Have I ever resolved to do something but then changed my mind?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a time when I decided to go on this new diet. And it was a corn nuts diet. Does everybody know what corn nuts are? It's corn that's been processed until it's crispy and it's quite large. Well, a friend of mine told me that if I would put a corn nut in my mouth and just roll it around my mouth for the longest time, that it would make me feel as if I was eating something, and it would curb appetite. Well, I thought, what could be better? I can have my cake and eat it too, in some ways. So I bought my first package of corn nuts. I popped one in my mouth, and I started to even feel thinner. But as processed as those corn nuts are, it seems that they're pretty tasty. And I started crunching on them, and I crunched, and all of a sudden, the worst thing happened. I broke a tooth. I broke a tooth on those corn nuts. And I thought, well, this is a pretty bad sign, and it's too bad to package out, and I have never been on a corn nuts diet again. Madam Tabletop.
Thank you. That was a humorous one. I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much. And I believe we have run out of time for table topics. That was great fun. Thank you for everybody who cooperated there. Let's turn back to our Toastmaster, Roslyn.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It was really fun and intriguing, and it's January, the time that we talk about resolutions, and it was really fun to listen to all of the different table topics answers that each one of you gave. Now, evaluations are a critical part of the Toastmasters journey. We speak and we get evaluated. That helps us take our speech to the next level the next time when we do a speech. So let me welcome our first evaluator. I did not get the name right because I knew Laura Lee was the evaluator, but they changed something in the room. So if the first evaluator could go and evaluate Julia on her icebreaker, Would very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Julia, that was such a great icebreaker. We learned so much about you. You were reasonably relaxed. You weren't stuttering or anything else, so you did quite well. Now, a few things that I saw was you were clasping your hands in front of you. You don't have anything useful for your hands, drop them to your side. Don't stand with them in front of you because that's a distraction. And it's hard. Everybody has problems. I struggle even to keep my hands on my side. No, I think you did good. I think your opening would have been better if you just started with yourself rather than how you came to Toastmasters. Because icebreaker is about you. It's not about Toastmasters. I think it would have been just good if you started off talking about yourself. You had a great body of your story. It was really good. And then came the conclusion, and it was good, but I was wondering if you could have shared something about what's coming next. Wow, what's coming next? That's where I was at. I thought you were enthusiastic, and I thought that maybe your speaking rate was a little fast. Sometimes you just have to slow things down. But I think you achieved the purpose of an icebreaker. And your talk was extremely interesting. So I think you did an excellent job for your first speech, the icebreaker.
Thank you.
And actually, I should have called the general evaluator. My time as a Toastmaster has come to a close. I thank you all for the opportunity to serve as your Toastmaster today.
What about my
And I
evaluation?
wish you all a very happy. And I'll tell, yes, the general evaluator actually calls upon the evaluators. Brian Haggerty will be called up next. Supposed to forward to Avital to call on the evaluators, and I forgot. So.
Because Diane needs to have an evaluation too. Oh, that's
Yes, that is.
Oh my gosh, I hope that's what I'm doing. Oh, okay, Diane. The first thing that struck me about your speech term terminal degree,
It's true.
sort of bad to me. Terminal degree. It was a very, very interesting speech, and I enjoyed it a lot. The specific evaluation items here, how well did the speaker's topic apply to the audience? I always wonder what that means, because I think pretty much everything applies well to this audience because this is such an inquisitive group. I don't know if anybody else here is intending to get a PhD, but I think there are some qualified people. Maybe people should look into it. Your topic was well researched. I felt there was perhaps a little more personal information in this story than research information, but you did tell the story well about, you know, how you became a PhD. Your purpose was clear. PhD for Dummies, I love the title. And the organization was effective. It was essentially chronological organization, so that was good. Your body language and your local variety are great. I think you have a very interesting speaking style, and I appreciate that. One thing, though, you said PhD is everybody except medicine or theology. It's true. Juris Doctor.
It's not a PhD though.
Exactly. Yeah, a law degree is Juris Doctor, but it's not a real doctor. Anyway.
My point exactly. I'm just kidding.
So it was an interesting speech, and
it was different from most people's story. It's refreshing to hear someone who actually is interested in education, who loves education. Every year when it comes time for back to school, you get all these commercials. Oh God, we're gonna go back to school. Well, it's nice to hear from someone who enjoys education and wants to push forward and wants to learn more things because it's out there. I think is the great point of the speech. So very well, thank you.
Thank you.
She turned the time over to Avital.
Oh, that's what she was saying.
Yeah, she was saying the general evaluator should lead the evaluation part.
Yes.
So I should call on the timer and the first. Okay. Why don't we have the timer give the report of all the times that we've had, please?
Absolutely, Madam General Evaluator. Julia's speech was 7 minutes. Diane's speech was 6 minutes and 30 seconds. 50 seconds. I get the names for the first and second evaluator. I thought the second evaluator was Brian, but the first evaluator spoke for 1:52. And the second evaluator for 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
And Marion, would you give a report, please?
I am unmuted. Okay. Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. So the word of the day was resolve or resolution. And even before table topics, we already had our Toastmaster using it a couple of times. And of course, all our table topic speakers, Linda, Tom, and Suzanne, used the word of the day multiple times. I am trying to see if anybody else, I missed if anybody else used the word of the day. And let me know if you did and I missed it. As far as use of the English language, I have to admit that at certain points the audio was not very good. So I unfortunately did not catch if there were any inappropriate usage. I didn't catch that. I did hear from, like she said, the only good dissertation is the done dissertation. That was really good. And there were a couple of other things, and even the title of her speech was quite catchy, of PhD for Dummies. So overall, minus the fact that we had some audio issues, I would dare say that everybody used the English language the right way, and there were very few. We probably need to watch on the and. I think and is one of our favorite, I don't want to call it crutch words, but we tend to say and then say something and then say something.
Maybe she's done. She's done. Thank you. Are you done?
Madam General Evaluator.
Okay, thank you. Now I can give my evaluation. Okay. One of the things that was really unique about this meeting that I appreciated was a great explanation of each of the roles, but also this bouncing between when somebody speaks, even if it's table topics, and the table topics master responding and saying something about what they said. So it creates this nice flow and connection and tie-in throughout the meeting. One of the things I was coming into this meeting with was remembering that there's been a lot more time for table topics in other meetings that I've been to. I'm curious, how can we speed up timing here in order to allow more time as we get more people in here for more people to speak in each meeting? So this is where I'm going to bring in some ideas now. And One of the things that this club is really good at is being on the spot and trying to figure things out quickly when a challenge comes up and when technical difficulties come up. And one thing I would recommend, things I recommend with that, one is that when there's an issue with online, that the people online write in the chat to Lauralee or myself, whoever's on the computer, rather than speaking, so it doesn't interrupt the flow of the meeting. At the same time, the person at the podium just kind of assumes that Lauralee or that person has got it. So there doesn't have to be as much back and forth with that. There obviously needs to be some communication, especially when the person online is the Toastmaster. And another thing is that you could do is have a list of the roles for the meeting ready at the front and not the list that gets passed around, so that when we need to pull people in quickly, that even the president who's standing up here can see what that list of roles is, and they can start the process that a Toastmaster might start if we can't get them from online, that you can pick people for new roles who don't have another role so that more people get a chance. And whoever's Toastmaster should also be aware if they're working online with moving around roles, who those roles are, so we don't double up, because there's too many people now that we can have one person per role. And this is kind of an interesting thing to think about, is a connection between what's happening online and what's happening in the room. And for us to think more of that tie-in. So one of those ways, as I mentioned, for the people online is to remember that whenever you speak, that you are, in a sense, bringing that into the entire room. And so if there's a technical difficulty online, writing it in chat. And then for us to remember and to really think that those people are in the room with us, because you're all so present with me right now when I'm speaking, but to think of them being up here as well, so we don't have side conversations while they're speaking, and then we can hear them better. And then I would have us as a club really take a good look at our connection and how we can make that more stable, even if it means going to a different location. But if we do want to be a partially online club, then that's one of the things that would be helpful for us to work out. I would recommend putting the speaking window as the big one, always making a habit of muting the people who are talking as well. And then for the evaluators, I thought you both did a very nice job of evaluating the speeches, and Lyle did, he gave good feedback, and he did a nice job of bringing in a balance of positive and things to work on. One of the things that I learned in a previous club was that the evaluation is actually for everyone. So we don't, their recommendation was not to speak to the person who is being evaluated. But so instead of saying, you know, Julia, don't hold your hands here, it's Julia was holding her hands here, and this is the impact of that. And then we can all get something out of that evaluation, and we're all being spoken to in that time. And then for Brian, you also brought in a lot of pros and cons. One of the things to be careful for, and it's hard on the spot to work things out quickly because you have a list to follow, to still think about starting with a pro, even if the first thing on the list might bring up an area to work on. And one thing for me as the evaluator, I would have liked to not leave the last part of the meeting, and in terms of calling up the other evaluations, so that I could have had more time to organize my thoughts. But overall, this is a really, really fun group, and everyone's just so willing to figure out how we bring everyone together. The speeches were all interesting, both the table topics and the prepared speeches. Thank you all.
I think we had a pretty good, successful meeting, even with all of the growth and the struggles that we had. I think we did pretty good. So thank you very much. Love the feedback. I think this is something that, as a group, that we really need to remember, is to keep everybody that's online as being present within us here as well. So we've Yeah, I want maybe have Rose calculate what that. Yes. Okay, that works. Mike's gonna come over from London. Well, but it's really kind of cool that we have people from all over the world. I mean, we have people in London. What time is it in London right now? 9 hours. So what's that, 3? Anyway, next week, and remember to go online. And Tom, I think you found our online sign up. There we go. So remember that the very first speaker, the first speaker here is for people working on their first projects, brand new members in the club, working on their competent communicator or working on their first pathways. We also have a request if there's somebody that would like to make a switch before April. We do have one member of our club here that's going to be traveling, and so she has one more speech that she needs to give to get to her bronze.
Well, that's already scheduled in, but I just.
Okay. So if there's somebody that would like to switch, please, if you can send an email to Avital and try to maybe do a switch in here as well. Next week, our roles.
Also, the new people, if they're in the second speaker slot, they can move to the first speaker slot.
If you're a second speaker, move to the first speaker slot.
If you're a new person.
If you're a new, oh, right, yeah. If you're down in the second speaker slot area, and you're a new speaker, you can move to the first speaker slot so that way the advanced speakers have space to be able to speak as well. And next week, the roles are, we have Laura Lee as the Toastmaster.
I'm thinking if it's going to be like this again.
I'm thinking that we need to keep Laura Lee in our IT slot over there. Is there somebody that would like to be Toastmaster next week? That wants to jump in there and do that?
Tom.
Yeah, Tom is actually speaker 1. We have go ahead, somebody? Did I hear someone?
One other suggestion that I had was where we have all the roles, Toastmaster, speaker and stuff, if we could add another line for the theme of the meeting. So we can add that to the. So if we have a theme for a meeting, you can just mention that there.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of times the Toastmaster will have their theme.
I'll do it. I got it.
So for a theme.
Yeah, I got it. That makes sense.
Yep, and I got a note on here for you too. So Julie is our evaluator for Tom. We have Krista as our second speaker with Rosalind as an evaluator. Brian Haggerty, see, he's not sneaking out. Okay. Brian is a grammarian, and his wife will be making sure that he's here. And we have Susan, who is table topics. John is going to be our timer, and Julia will be our first-time general evaluator. So is there somebody here that would like to do, and Laura Lee's requesting a picture. So
yes, we need a group picture.
So are you going to come up here and get a picture of all of us going this way?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so everybody smile, and Laura Lee's going to get a picture of all of us up here.
We still need it.
We still do. We'll get a picture real quick.
I can do it.
Okay.
All right, and smile. Yay. Thank you.
And that's going to be on our blog, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's going to be our new cover.
And our new cover. Okay.
All right.
So Avital, you're going to be our Toastmaster then? Okay. And with that, Good thing you're sitting right up here. We end our meeting.
Thank you.
Bye-bye all.
On Pig and Pancake to get a better router.
Thank you.